It's the final match of the National Football Tournament selection, and the team that wins the game will head to the tournament and further their dreams of becoming professional athletes. In the final moments of the game, Isagi gets the ball from his teammates and is one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Isagi and his team are down 1-0, and this goal would mean that they can send the game into extra time and hopefully win it. However, Isagi remembers that football is not a one-man game. His eyes wander to his teammate, who's in a better position than him, and with the words of his coach in his mind, Isagi decides to pass the ball. His teammate, however, misses. The ball then rebounds to an opposing player, who plays a long pass to the striker, Kida. The boy takes the ball and slams it into the net, giving his team a 2-goal cushion and, more importantly, winning the game. Isagi is devastated. He can't think straight anymore. One more year wasted, being an average player on an average team, and he didn't even make the nationals. He heads back home, head bent toward the ground. The next day, however, Isagi receives a letter from Japan's National Sports Committee offering him a chance at becoming a professional athlete, an invitation to join one of their training facilities. Despite being unsure of his abilities, making him reluctant to go to the facility, Isagi heads there the next day. On the way, he meets Kida, who was also called to the same location. The two acquaint themselves, and Isagi finds Kida to be a really decent person who believes in the true nature of football. Kida is not only a good footballer, but also a great human being. The two head in and find that there are several other players inside, waiting to find out why they were called to this place, and by whom. Looking around, Kida recognizes tons of great center forwards, including Okawa, Ishikari, and the Messi of Aomori. Actually, the whole place is filled with only strikers, which amuses them. Suddenly, a strange man enters the stage before them and introduces himself as Jinpachi Igo, the man who will create a perfect striker from among them, who will bring a World Cup to Japan. Igo explains that this place, where they were all summoned, is the BlueLock facility, and all 300 of them will compete with each other here for the next few months, and one among them will become the striker who will bring Japan to glory. Every one of the players disagrees with Igo's ideal. Football isn't a one-man game, and scoring goals isn't the only important thing. However, Igo gives examples of all the greatest players, Eric Cantona, Pele, and the Japanese sensation Noah, who have all claimed to be the best and that only they matter. He states their egos make them the best in the world and challenges the players if they have the guts to become someone like them. Isagi is frustrated with his life as an average player and not being able to shine. Moreover, he lacked the ego to take the shot in the game earlier, which cost him a place in the nationals. Upon hearing Igo's words, he's the first to lunge towards BlueLock. Soon after, almost all the players join in. Isagi is then handed an outfit and is assigned a room in which he must spend the rest of his days at BlueLock. In the same room, he notices Kida and a few others as well. Each of the players is assigned a number on their outfits. Isagi's number is 299Z. After the players have finished changing their outfits, a huge screen lights up before them, and Igo shows up. Igo explains that based on their abilities, they have all been ranked and labeled on their uniform. They can all play better and improve their ranks based on their progression in BlueLock. However, there will be tests along the way, and players will be eliminated. Eliminated players will never play for Japan at the national level in their lives, and only the top 5 players will be able to be a part of the upcoming U20 World Cup. Before the news could cause any uproar, a ball appears in the room, and Igo puts them to their very first test. With 136 seconds on the board, Igo tells them to play a game of tag. The last person with the ball by the end of that time will be eliminated from the room. The game begins with the lowest ranking player, Igarashi, who wastes no time getting into it. He has only one thing on his mind, tagging the player closest to his ranking, Isagi. However, Igarashi lacks skills and is unable to tag anyone until he notices a sleeping player, Bachida. Just as he's about to smash the ball into Bachida, the boy gets up and kicks Igarashi. Another player, Kunagami, goes to argue with Bachida for not playing fair, and Igarashi slyly uses this opportunity to tag Kunagami instead. Enraged, Kunagami strikes the ball at Igarashi, but the ball hits Isagi. With 1 minute remaining, Isagi is now it, and he chases the others around. Isagi too finds it very difficult to tag anyone else, and his chances of a career are slipping away. Suddenly, Igarashi slips. This is the chance that Isagi was waiting for, but suddenly he stops. Something tells him that if he's going to win, he needs to do it properly and eliminate someone of a higher rank than him. Isagi turns around, and out of nowhere, Bachida lunges at him and takes the ball away, charging at Kida. Kida tries to run away. However, instead of shooting, Bachida passes to Isagi. With only a couple of seconds remaining, Isagi's feet move on their own, and he slams the ball into Kida's face. The round comes to an end. Kida is eliminated. When the buzzer beeps, Kida is outraged. At first, he can't believe that Isagi did such a thing, but then the ego within him starts to show, and he starts boasting that he's a better player than anyone and needed to stay. The elimination was unfair, as the time given was very short, and that this drill has nothing to do with actual football. Ego then shows up to clear the enraged man's misconceptions. He states that the area they are playing in is the same size as a penalty area, and the amount of time given to them is, in fact, the average time that a normal player would get the ball in a regular game. Ego states that Kida was eliminated because of his own incompetencies, and it was not Isagi's fault. Kida marches out of the place, giving Isagi the stink eye. Isagi, having ended the career of a really decent person, feels ecstatic. He asks Bachida why he passed to him at such a moment. Bachida smiles, telling him that he knew he would eliminate Kida. Ego then announces their journey had finally begun in BlueLock. The 11 players in each of the rooms were now each other's teammates, and also each other's rivals. Elsewhere, Japan's football board is briefed by Anri. She's the one who had proposed the BlueLock program and really wants Japan to be a dominant footballing force in the world. The board doesn't really approve of the ideas, but they know that if this fails, all the blame will be put on Anri, so they agree. Back at the BlueLock facility, training finally begins, and Isagi is already overwhelmed. All of his team members exceed him in skills in almost every aspect of the game. He's so average when it comes to his skills compared to the others. The very first night, he can't sleep, thinking about his lack of ambition and skills, and decides to head out for a late-night practice session. Isagi comes across Bachida, who wants to practice with him too, so both of them head to their assigned field. During practice, Isagi once again asks Bachida the actual reason why he passed to him during the first test. And this time, Bachida tells him that just like all the famous players in the world, Messi, Ronaldo, he too has a monster in him that tells him what to do during the game, and it just so happened that the monster told him to pass to Isagi at that moment. Bachida tells Isagi that since he knew he had a monster in him too, he passed the ball, and Isagi did as he predicted and eliminated Kida. Isagi wonders if he really has a monster in him. Suddenly, an announcement from Ego sends them back to their rooms. Ego says that their rankings have been updated and that they were now ready for the next stage of the tournament. Isagi is now ranked 274. The man then explains that the whole facility is divided into 25 teams, a total of 275 players, after the elimination of one from each of the teams earlier on. If the players perform well and improve their rank, they'll get better facilities at BlueLock, and the lower-ranked players will have to suffer their consequences. Also, now the teams would be facing an actual game. The games would be played among 5 teams, and each team would be playing against all the other teams. The 2 best teams would be safe from elimination, while the lowest 3 would be removed from the facility, losing the possibility to play for Japan ever again. But among the losing teams, the top scorers would be able to stay. Elsewhere, a really arrogant player named Itashi is being interviewed on his return back to Japan. However, the player seems to have no interest in domestic football and just wants to head back to Europe as soon as possible. After abruptly leaving the interview, Itachi stumbles upon the press conference being held by the Japan Football Association, announcing the BlueLock facility as its new way of finding the next best striker for Japan and the world. Upon hearing this, Itachi is intrigued and decides to stick around to see what the program leads to. Back in the facility, Team Z is confused as to how they can play as a team since all of them are strikers. They decide to play rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets to play as forward, and Isugi wins the first round, meaning that he'll be the striker in the first game. Their first game is against Team X, and the game will be 45 minutes long. They need to win the game. Upon calculation, if they lost more than one game, they would naturally lose pace with the second spot and would be eliminated, so they had to go into every game to win. The game soon begins, and just as Ego had planned, all the players from Team Z are battling amongst themselves to be the top scorer of the team. They seem to have no interest in winning and are only concerned about scoring their own goals. It's the same for Team X, and almost all the players have swarmed in at one place, battling it out for the ball. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the top player of Team X, Bado, steps up and steals the ball. While all the players are distracted, Bado puts the ball into the net, putting the score to 1-0. And suddenly, Team X gets their act together. They seem to all have an instinctive connection and decide to support Bado. The team plays fluid football, and unlike Team Z, they coordinate their attacks. One by one, Bado and his team members destroy Team Z's defense and end up scoring 5 goals even before the 42-minute mark. Bachida is clearly tired after running his legs out and tells Isugi that all they need is 1 goal to settle their nerves. He explains that he'll make a long pass and Isugi can go ahead and score the goal. Isugi agrees, and straight from kickoff, he makes the run toward the goal. The pass from Bachida is perfect as well, but Bado seems to have read their game and appears in defense right in front of Isugi. Isugi is confused as to what to do. He doesn't want to make a bad pass and lose this good move, nor can he move ahead. He scopes around and sees his teammates Raichi and Kunigami making a run beside him. Raichi is free, and yet Isugi makes the pass instinctively to Kunigami, who scores a wonder goal from a fair distance. The game ends 5-1. Bado tells Isugi that not being able to shoot as a striker makes him pathetic, straight to the poor guy's face. And even Raichi is pissed that Isugi didn't pass to him despite being free. The team continues to argue about the match even after the game, and one of the team members, Chigiri, points out that perhaps Ego isn't really right after all, since he keeps mentioning Messi and Ronaldo, and yet neither of those players has won a World Cup. Isugi interrupts and states that all they need to win games is to turn their chaotic game style, aka 0, into fluid gameplay, 1. Ego appears just then and states that they might be onto something. He explains that individual skills, as well as being an all-rounder, is important when it comes to a game like football. He also announces the results of the other games, where Team V obliterated Team Y 8-0, so they have to pick up their pace fast. In preparation for the next match, Team Z finally decides to get their heads straight and discuss their special abilities so that they can use this to enhance the way they play as a team. While all the other players have one special skill or other, like Raichi has the best shooting skills, Kunigami has the best left-footer mid-range shot, Imamura has great speed and technique, Bachida is a great dribbler of the ball, Isugi has nothing that he can put his finger on. Only he and Chigiri are unable to state their special talent. Kuon tells them that's fine for now, and also explains the new way to play. They will alternate turns playing as the striker and find rhythm in their game. The team then heads to practice. After practice, Isugi heads to get dinner, very late. He meets Kunigami there, who thanks him for passing the ball to him in the game earlier, and also decides to share his steak with him. Turns out that goal scorers get tons of good food based on the number of goals, and Kunigami wanted to give half of the steak to him, since half of his goals credit goes to Isugi as well. The next game soon arrives, and this time, Team Z is pitted against Team Y, led by their main man, Okawa, who's renowned to be a fierce striker. Team Z is well prepared for the game though, and this time, instead of bickering amongst themselves, they pass the ball around. However, Team Y seems to have learned a lesson after their thrashing by Team V and put up a really resilient defensive show. Even after putting all of their abilities to best use, Team Z finds it hard to crack the defense. Suddenly, the ball rolls over to a guy named Nico, who quickly scopes out the area and sends a long ball towards the free Okawa. Team Y had planned this all along, and right when Team Z's defense was stretched, they played the perfect counterattack. Okawa gets the ball and chips it over the keeper to score, getting his team to 1-0 before the break. The second half begins, and Team Y is no longer interested in attacking at all. They pass the ball among themselves to run down the clock. Even after changing tactics and strikers several times, Team Z hasn't been able to break through. Soon, Gagamaru Jin is the striker for Team Z, and Isugi plays a long ball toward him. Even though Isugi had overshot the pass, Jin manages to reach it and get Team Z their first corner. Being their first goal-scoring chance, Team Z gets all their players forward, but Isugi has a really bad feeling about it and races back to his own goal. As the corner comes in and it's sent out of the box towards Nico, Isugi snatches the ball in time and takes a shot. The ball strikes the keeper, but Jin is there to score on the rebound, and Team Z is finally back in the game. Isugi had realized that Nico was the one controlling the game, and if he took care of Nico, Team Y was pretty much useless. Isugi and Nico seem to be the same when it comes to gameplay, and Isugi can judge his every move. The game progresses, and Isugi intercepts almost all of the balls played to Nico. Team Z seems to be the team likely to score next, but Team Y still has a plan up their sleeve. At the final minute, all 10 outfield players of Team Y pace towards the goal in an all-out attack, startling Team Z. Nico leads the attack and quickly makes it to a one-on-one situation with the keeper, but instead of shooting, Nico passes to an open Okawa. The ball, however, is intercepted by Isugi. Isugi knew Nico would do that because before coming into BlueLock, he would have done the same. Isugi then passes the ball ahead to Bachida and ultimately gets the ball himself and scores an outrageous goal, shattering the hopes and dreams of Team Y. The game is won, and he stands before his vanquished enemies. Having won the game, Team Z enjoys 2 steaks for the 2 goals they had scored and has a good celebration. However, even at night, the thrill of the game has taken all the sleep from Isugi's eyes. He gets up to see the footage from the game and finds Chigiri in the camera room, analyzing the game himself. Chigiri tells Isugi that he has what most players lack, spatial awareness, and that is his special skill. He can evaluate what is going to happen in a game and sniff out a goal before anyone else. Isugi thinks about it, and even though he can't control it, he knows that perhaps Chigiri was right. Isugi then prized the man for his skill, but Chigiri is still adamant that he doesn't want to reveal his skills. Instead, Chigiri tells him about the ACL tear that he had a few years ago, and that coming to BlueLock was his way of parting ways with the game. He was here to find an excuse to stop playing, since he was scared that he would be injured again. Isugi argues that if Chigiri really wanted to lose, he would have by now, and explains that the boy has a fighting spirit, just like him. But Chigiri ignores him and walks away. Later, during practice, Igo announces the new rankings based on their performance, and Isugi is now the best player among his teammates. He now has to increase his skill and get better at controlling his newfound ability, spatial awareness. Along with their rankings, the latest results from the table is displayed as well, and 4 teams are now tied at second place with 3 points each, while Team V is pulling away with 6 points. Their next game is against Team W, and the whole group sits down after practice to strategize. Normally, Kuon would be the one briefing the plan, but he's in a long shower, so Lemon, their regular goalkeeper, explains the plan as best he can. He seems to know the 2 main players of Team W, Keisuke Wanima and his big brother Junichi Wanima. These 2 are really strong and have great coordination skills. All they had to do was stop the link-up between the brothers, and they could win the game. Kuon arrives just then, and further explains a few more moves that they could perform during the match. This time, they will play with 3 main forwards and rotate every 30 minutes. The next day, Team Z is ready to press on with the game, and finally play some really good football against Team W. The two lead brothers from Team W start the game really strong and make pass after pass with each other. Chigiri and Isagi are the two final center backs, and they easily manage to get past Chigiri. The two brothers try to manipulate Chigiri and use his weak ACL to scare him from tackling them, but Isagi comes to the rescue just in time. He would not let them pass. Soon enough, with Isagi's defensive performance and everyone's collective efforts, Kuon scores 3 amazing goals, and heading into halftime, they are up 3-0. Everything seems to be going perfectly, almost too perfectly. The second half begins with Raichi, Bachida, and Kuon at the front, and everything is looking solid. However, the brothers from Team W seem to have dropped to midfield. They quickly steal the ball from Kuon and race past everyone to make the score 3-1. Kuon seems to have lost concentration for just a second. Thinking it just to be a one-time thing, the team resets and begins play. But yet again, Kuon plays an underplayed back pass, and yet again it is intercepted. The brothers score yet again, making the score 3-2. And suddenly, the realization hits. All the goals up until now were scored by Kuon, and all the strategies were made by him. Isagi could suddenly no longer find any passes. His spatial awareness was now useless. The ball is intercepted yet again, and while in defense, Kuon purposely misses a header. The score was now 3-3. He had betrayed them. Isagi's eyes widen, and he confronts his teammate about it. Kuon comes clean. After witnessing their loss against Team X and then barely beating Team Y with just a single goal, he could no longer trust in the team's ability, so he made a deal with Team W to become the top scorer and then get rid of his team. Kuon was no longer their teammate. He was Team W's 12th man. The game suddenly turns on its head. It is now 12 against 10. Kuon takes the ball away yet again, and this time fires another shot. Thankfully, Lemon stops the goal from happening. But Team W was in total control at the moment. With 5 more minutes to go, Team Z was looking like they were headed out of BlueLock, never to achieve their dreams. Chigiri gets frustrated at himself. He remembers the time back in his childhood when he used to have that hunger in him as a striker. When he was younger, the Wanima brothers arrived at his school claiming to be the next hotshots in football, so he had to show them with his skills how he was superior to them. His speed was something else, and his close control made him a formidable force. While the Wanima brothers couldn't even make the starting lineup, Chigiri was in his prime. He felt he could beat the world. However, the day came that he suffered an ACL tear, a dangerous, potentially career-ending injury for a football player to face. Chigiri was devastated and put to rehabilitation for several months. Since he was still young, he would recover, but the doctors told him that if there was a similar injury again, he would probably never be able to play again. These words got to Chigiri's head, and ever since he was never able to use his full speed. It was as if he had shackles holding him down, put there by his own mind. The 5 remaining minutes of regular time are up, and a final 3 minutes are added. It was now or never. Isagi has the ball, but has no one to pass to. In a desperate attempt to score, he goes in by himself, pushing a frozen Chigiri and tries to score, but fails. Chigiri is irritated, but realizes that Isagi is just like he used to be, believing that he can be the best in the world and putting everything into football. Suddenly, the fire comes back to him. If in the next few minutes he couldn't do something, his journey in football would be over, and deep within, he did not want that to happen. Chigiri suddenly makes a run, and Isagi notices and makes a long pass towards the goal line. At this moment, the whole Team W is confident that this is just a wasted effort, but their eyes widen when they see Chigiri racing towards the ball. Even as the keeper is about to get it, he manages to get a toe on it and score the goal in the very final moments. The game is tied and the final whistle blows. Elsewhere, Team V has had another comprehensive 5-2 victory. The entire Team W is pissed at Kuon and starts beating him up for not revealing that Chigiri had gotten over his leg problem. Even though Kuon repeatedly states that he didn't know anything about it, they just pile over him until they are stopped by Isagi. After the game though, Kuon still hasn't changed. He's already in the room of Team V, making the same offer that he made to Team W, to let him score against them, and he would reveal all the strategies of Team Z. Unluckily for him, Team V is not a scummy bunch. They're confident in their own tactics and don't need to be told what to do and how to do it. The next team meeting starts off with bad news. Team W had drawn their game with Team Y. With both the teams now drawn level on points and Team Z with a really bad goal difference, they had to win against Team V in order to qualify, which by itself is a daunting task. Not only was their team a man down now, but Team V was also ruthless with their goal-scoring ability. Kuon still refuses to be part of the team. He's already the top scorer and doesn't need to participate. If Team Z loses, he still gets selected just like that. Lemon explains that the strongest players from Team V, the Deadly Trio, had scored 18 goals in 3 games already. Zantetsu Tsurugi has 5 goals. Reo Mikage managed to score 6 goals. And Seishiro Nagi was running away with it, 7 goals in 3 games. If they don't stop them, they can't win. In the Team V locker room, Nagi is back from training way earlier than the rest of his team. He explains that he just doesn't need to train that much, and Mikage knows that this is true. Only 6 months ago, Mikage, the son of a really rich businessman, was studying in a really good school. He was good at everything and had everything he wished for, but he enjoyed nothing. One day, he stumbled upon football, a sport that thrilled him. However, his once supportive parents were not okay with him being a football player. Since he had started so late, there was no chance he could make it pro. Mikage had to prove his parents wrong. He then stumbled upon the potential greatest football genius he had ever seen, Nagi, a man with such control that he could catch a falling cell phone on his foot. However, the man had no interest in football and wanted to live a slacker's life. Mikage promises to give him a chill life if he becomes the best footballer ever, with him. Back in Team Z's dressing room, Kuon is still, without question, going to be useless in the next game, so they need to work with what they have at hand. Ego then shows up on the screen and shows the new rankings. Even though Kuon practically cheated, he was still number 1 in the rankings. And if they lose and none of them score more goals than him, he would stay in BlueLock while the rest of them are eliminated. Ego states that all their goals until now have been good, but unless they can replicate those goals, it would all be considered luck. They must examine how, when, and under what conditions their weapon made the difference in their victory. Only when they have mastered repeatability can they advance. They should play the game as though they are destined to win, rather than depending on chance to do so. Isagi is frustrated and heads straight to the practice field. He sees Bado of Team X. The man had already scored 10 goals, and since he was the top scorer in the entire building, he had already qualified. Isagi tries to see if he can learn something from Bado, but the man is in no mood for Isagi. Instead, the two start going one-on-one. Bado muscles his way through Isagi and scores a screamer from 23 meters out into the top corner. They go again, despite Bado being reluctant. And yet again, Bado scores another screamer. But this time, Isagi realizes that Bado has perfected his technique. This is what he needed to learn as well. He knew now that Bado could score from 23 meters if he was given the chance, so he decides to restrict him from getting into that range. However, Bado again surprises him by scoring a 27-meter screamer. Never reveal your ultimate skill. Isagi thanks Bado for helping him, even though all Bado did was humiliate him. The game then begins the next day, and Team Z is surprisingly well prepared. They manage to avoid letting Mikage and Nagi dribble past them and prevent Zantetsu from getting into his long-range shooting. Isagi then gets the ball and plays a long ball toward Gagamaru, who makes a shot and misses, barely. They are all fired up until the ball lands at Mikage's feet. He glances once at Nagi and launches a ball toward the goal, a ball so overplayed that the whole Team Z lets it go. But Nagi doesn't give it up. He ends up scoring a brilliant goal out of nowhere. That was the difference in class between the two teams. Team Z tries to shake it off and start an attack, but again, the ball is stolen away and finds its way to Nagi. This time, the guy is surrounded though. Surely he couldn't score, is what everyone thinks. But he surprises everyone yet again by pulling off a bicycle kick out of nowhere. It was all too easy for a genius like him. 2-0 down, and this time, Isagi tries to release Chigiri, their new secret weapon. But it turns out that Zantetsu is as fast as Chigiri and can cover all his moves. The man swipes the ball from Chigiri and launches a counter, scoring a phenomenal goal from far out. Team Z is devastated. They seem to have lost even before the first half was over. Their chance of victory was wearing thin, and so was the enthusiasm of the entire team. Everyone is disappointed, but Bachida is pumped up. He's excited that he's facing such an incredible team and wants to show that he can do incredible things too. Since only something magical could turn their games now, he decides to show off his hidden potential as the monster inside of him screams. Bachida gets the ball from Isagi and dribbles past everyone on the field. He amazes even the opponents with his skills and scores with a Rabona in this pressure situation. The team finally gets pumped up again. They know now that all they have to do was go above and beyond their limits and play like there was no second chance and find their true hidden ability. The ball then goes to Kunigami, and he knows that he can score if he gets the ball in a 23-meter range. But the area before him is crowded, and he has to take the shot now. He decides to trust his abilities and shoots from 28 meters out. The ball whizzes past the defenders and turns at the very last moment and enters the net, making the score 3-2. Heading into the second half, Team Z is still in the game with the score at 3-2. They are confident that they can win, and so is Team V. Team V decides to continue their attack, but the defense will be increased by one more player, with Zantetsu dropping back. The second half begins, and Isagi is the only one who hasn't really gotten a grip on the game yet. While all of his teammates are making brilliant blocks, saving the shots from entering their goal, he is still unsure if he can ever score and go beyond his limitations. The ball then reaches Chigiri, and Zantetsu is his marking man. Chigiri realizes that he cannot beat Zantetsu in a foot race in a short distance, since his ability is boosted by acceleration. So Chigiri makes a 10-meter pass ahead to himself, knowing that at the longer distance he can beat the man. He does just that, then races past the defenders, scoring the equalizing goal for his team. The score was 3-3. And just like Japan in this World Cup, coming together and equalizing in the second half, this game is not over. The ball lands at Mikage's feet, who's shocked by the fact that the worst team in BlueLock is actually competing with them, and with 10 men at that. He remembers his past and how his parents always treated him like a baby, spoon-feeding him everything. He wanted to do something on his own strength, and that was football. Nobody would take that from him. However, when he looks around, he sees no space that he can utilize. His team is just as shocked as he is, and there seem to be no attacking options. At this rate, they would lose. Nagi, who's by the post waiting for the ball to arrive, notices Mikage's sad and dejected face. Suddenly, something clicks in him as well. It's like his abilities had finally awakened. He realizes that if he does nothing, their team will lose, and it would be the first time that they would suffer a loss. Earlier, he didn't care what happened, but suddenly his passion for football is ignited by the idea of losing. Uncharacteristically, Nagi drops back and asks for the ball from Mikage, who passes it to him. This comes as a shock to the whole of Team Z. Nagi has never done this before, and it's made it easier for them to defend. But now that he's in the game, both attacking and helping out defensively, Team Z may get overwhelmed. Nagi races with the ball and dribbles past one defender after another. He dribbles past Igamura with a cheeky lob and then passes the ball square to Tsugiri on the flank. To everyone's surprise, Tsugiri has a head start this time and beats Chigiri in the race to the ball. He looks up to see Nagi asking for the ball in the penalty area. Tsurugi is surprised because Nagi usually never takes the initiative or even asks for the ball, but he passes it to him anyway. The ball floats into the box, and Nagi receives it at a very tight angle. Surely he wouldn't be able to score from there, everyone thinks. Yet Nagi not only takes the ball with grace, but also manages to score an absolutely fantastic goal. The game turns on its head once again as Team V takes the lead 4-3. The one thing that Isagi and Team Z couldn't afford, the awakening of Nagi, has happened. And with only 15 minutes left on the clock, there's no time for them to stand back and defend anymore. Team Z and Isagi have to attack. After the kickoff, Bachida gets the ball from Isagi and charges forward, while Isagi keeps thinking about how he can influence the game. With one man down and a goal down, it would be impossible to come back if they concede yet another goal. He keeps thinking about how he can use his spatial awareness to change the course of the game once and for all. And just then, he figures it out. Chigiri receives the ball on the left flank, again from Bachida. He tries the same trick of outpacing Tsurugi and manages to get ahead of him. But this time, Nagi is there to defend as well. Thankfully, Isagi intercepts the ball before it can reach him. With his new ability unlocked, he's able to spot a weakness in the opposing defense and position himself to exploit it. He then looks around and makes a pass back to Chigiri, who cuts inside to make a shot. The shot is blocked, but it falls to Gagamaru, and yet again the ball is blocked by the defenders. Finally, the ball falls at a perfect range for Kunigami. He places a perfect shot to the roof of the net, and the game is yet again on equal terms. Isagi cheers in happiness as he's finally been able to unlock his ability, and the goal had gone just as he had planned. Using his ability, he can now see into the future for brief moments with all the positioning around him and the way the ball moves. Isagi can see how the goal can be made and how the opponents can be outmaneuvered. Everyone on Team Z is happy, all but Kuon, who doesn't even know how he should feel. At the moment, with Team Z drawing the game, he knows he's going to be the top goal scorer. But was it worth it? He remembers back to when he was in school and had barely managed to form a team to play football with. Even though his team was weak, he carried them to the regional quarterfinals with the hope of one day playing for the national team. But he didn't realize that his teammates didn't share his ambition. Ultimately, they lost, and that was when he finally came to the realization that his teammates didn't have the same ambition as him. And ever since then, he's worked for himself. However, now he doesn't know if that's something he wants to strive for, or if that's the type of person he wants to be. 5 minutes left in the game, and this time, Team V is planning to play from the back. However, instead of making a short pass, Tsurugi notices Nagi's run and makes a long pass. Nagi races to the ball, and Isagi is hot on his heels. He knows that if he can get past Nagi, Nagi has no option but to pass the ball to the other flank, and in doing so, Isagi can hold on until his other defenders arrive. However, just like Ronaldo, Nagi uses his back to pass the ball to himself, and with no other defenders in sight, he's clear to the goal. This is it. Just then, Nagi feels a thud and a set of arms around him, pushing him. It's Kuon, tackling him to the ground. The whistle sounds. Kuon gets a red card and is sent off the field. He doesn't know why he did it, but he tells the team to win as he leaves. 3 minutes left on the clock. Mikage then prepares to take the free kick. It's in a good range, but he probably would pass the ball to his teammates. However, Lemon, the keeper, understands that this is BlueLock. Mikage would most definitely try to score the goal himself. Lemon predicts correctly as the ball is launched towards the top right corner. He makes a massive save. But the loose ball rolls towards Nagi. He dribbles past a few defenders and chips the ball towards the goal. As Isagi holds his breath, wishing for a miracle, it arrives in the form of Gagamaru, who makes a lunging dive to push the ball to Isagi's feet. The counter is now on. Isagi races with the ball, and he has 3 teammates by his side. With most of the Team V members back in their half, it would be an easy goal. However, Isagi knows that the skills possessed by the members of the team would make it difficult, so he keeps moving the ball around among his teammates as they race towards the goal. A final sideways pass. He plays the ball to Kunigami to make a long-range shot. However, Tsurugi manages to catch up to him and makes a sliding tackle. The ball is now headed out of bounds, and with only seconds remaining in the game, if it goes out of bounds, the game will be over. Thankfully, Raichi slides in and manages to save the ball from going out. He passes the ball to Bachida, who notices 3 of his teammates headed into the opponent's box. 2 of them are marked, but Isagi is free, heading to the back post. Isagi is hoping to get the ball at the back post to score, and Bachida, as planned, makes the pass to him. As the ball approaches and Isagi prepares to shoot, he realizes that Nagi has already arrived to cover him. Nagi cuts in front of him to confuse him. Suddenly, Isagi has no idea how he can outmaneuver this. The once visible goal just fades away. Should he take a touch, pass to a teammate? He's confused. Suddenly, he has no idea what to do. Just then, he remembers all his goals and puts the pieces back together. His forte in shooting is direct shots without any touches. As Nagi approaches him from behind to startle him, Isagi slams the ball into the back of the net, winning him and his team the game, 5-4. Team Z celebrates as the final whistle blows, and they've qualified for the next round of BlueLock. Team V and Mikage look in shock, as they've just lost to the poorest team in the whole building. They're determined to do better. Everyone celebrates, as Kuon looks on. Kunigami goes to call Kuon into the celebrations as well, but Raichi reprimands him and punches Kuon to the floor, calling it even. And it's apparent that the team has already healed their differences, and there's no bad blood between them. That night, Bachida and Isagi are in the dining room, discussing the new abilities that they've unlocked, and Isagi claims to have gained even more knowledge of the game after the last match. Just then, they hear a large group of players heading out of BlueLock. They all sound sad and broken after their dreams of becoming players in the national team were now destroyed. Isagi and Bachida pause for a moment and ponder how their dreams had broken the dreams of several others. However, this doesn't make them sad. Rather, it motivates them even further. They also meet Nico, who had survived as the top scorer of Team Y. The man seems determined to win after his team lost to Team Z, and claims that he will destroy Isagi next time. Isagi smiles and tells him to bring it on. The next day, Ego appears on the big screen once again and tells them that before the next level begins, they will all do a bunch of physical training without the ball. He states that since they are the bottom of all 5 buildings, they will have to do this training until the first building's elite players finish the state-of-the-art training that they were assigned, in lieu of competing for selection. Despite being reluctant at first and eager to get on to the second selection, the whole crew begins the harsh training, and it continues for 10 long days. It's then announced that the first selection is over, and the players are instructed to get ready and proceed to the building's central basement. Isagi and the others are eager to play against the other teams. However, they're shocked to see the other players, who are 237th in rank, from Team X and Team W. Ego appears on the screen and remarks that although they've undoubtedly already noticed, only Building 5 is present in BlueLock, which accounts for the absence of players from Buildings 1 through 4. Up until now, he had lied to them to make them believe that they were bad and fight ferociously for the initial pickup. All of this was a ploy to undermine their dubious self-assurance and instill in them a desire to be the best in the world. Ego announces that for the second selection, they will have to enter the field one by one. Team Z huddles up one last time, wishing each other luck and promising to meet on the other side. Suddenly, Rin Itoshi casually shoots a curveball and then hits it with another, leaving Isagi stunned at his skills. Rin walks to the door and enters first into the second stage tests. The others wonder if they know him. His name sounds familiar. Isagi follows him. Isagi walks down a small tunnel and finds himself in a field. A holographic BlueLock man stands in goal, and Isagi is sent a ball from the wall beside him. A red circle appears and starts closing around him, prompting him to shoot from within it. Isagi misses a hurried shot, but then realizes this is the next test and starts making better shots. As soon as he scores the first goal, a timer of 90 minutes appears, in which he has to score a total of 100 goals. The challenge becomes even harder after the first 30 goals, as the timer doesn't reset, and he has to continue scoring goals with hologram defenders present as well. Soon, the challenge gets even harder, as the balls thrown at him are no longer at the desired pace, and the defenders start moving as well. However, Isugi enjoys the challenge, and after that 10-day physical training, he has plenty of stamina to adjust himself and find a good rhythm at the test. He soon finishes the challenge and heads to the new room, which already has a bunch of competitors who had passed the challenge just like him. Moments later, Bachida also enters the place, and they are both happy to see each other. They are then told by Igo that in order to enter the next stage of the test, they need to form a group of 3. Bachida and Isugi decide to wait for Kunigami and Chigiri and take into their team whoever comes first. Suddenly, Isugi is approached by Nagi, who invites him to join Mikage's team. Mikage is taken aback by Nagi's decision. Nagi explains that Isugi was the most remarkable player in their game and that he wants to play football with him. Isugi refuses, claiming that he's on a team with Bachida. To all of their shock, Nagi then asks to be in his group instead. Mikage, frustrated, is taken even further aback, but accepts it after realizing how serious he is. The decision is all up to Isugi, and even though he wanted to wait for his friends, he knows that Nagi is the best player he knew, so he decides to take him into their team. The 3 of them head to the next level of the test. Inside, they find Rin Itoshi, Jubei Aryu, and Aoshi Tokimitsu, the 3 top players in the whole of BlueLock, according to their new ranking. They seem to be the best of the bunch and are confident that they can win against anyone who comes their way. Once again, Igo appears on the screen to explain the rules of the next matchup. The 3rd stage is a 3-on-3 minigame in which a BlueLock man serves as the goalkeeper. Whichever team scores 5 goals first wins. The victorious team then steals a player from the losing team to make a 4-man squad. The 4th stage is then a 4-on-4 match. The winning team once again steals a member to create a 5-man squad. The newly formed 5-man team then clears the 5th stage and passes the 2nd selection. The losing 3-man team becomes a 2-man squad and competes against another 2-man team. The player who is not chosen from the losing 2-man squad will be disqualified. The rules are announced. They can pick anyone to be their opponent as long as the opponents agree to play against them. This news gets Isugi and his crew excited, but the other group doesn't seem to care. They seem to be super confident, and this flares something up inside of Isugi. He walks up to them and challenges this best of the bunch to the 3-on-3 matchup. In the world of Japanese football, these 3 can be considered beasts as they are ranked highest among everyone else. They are led to a smaller football field for the 3-on-3 match, with the winner being able to steal 1 player from the losing team. The game will be decided when the first team scores 5 goals. They will each be provided with a BlueLock holographic keeper from the last round so they can focus on scoring goals. Isugi's team is designated as the white team, while Rin's team is the red team. The game starts well for Isugi's team, with Rin and his team members on the back foot. Isugi, Bachida, and Nagi come up with a string of passes. Bachida uses his insane skills to easily get past Tokimitsu, and as he approaches Aryu, he feints, as if he's making a 1-2 pass to Isugi, but instead passes the ball to an overlapping Nagi. Nagi then leaps onto the ball with his control and serves the ball on a plate for Isugi to slam into the net, getting them the first point. A rush of confidence comes over the team. Perhaps beating the best in the whole of BlueLock was not a big deal after all. Isugi thinks if they can keep this up, they can surely win. However, Isugi's mental calculations and dreams are shattered when Rin gets the ball. He expresses his disgust at the lack of skill and passion being displayed on the field. For Rin, football is not just a game or a dream. It's a battlefield. And in battle, one should never turn their back on their enemy. As the whistle blows, Rin surprises everyone with a bold move. He takes a shot right from the kickoff and sends the ball searing past the keeper. Rin's team now has a goal, leveling the game in an instant. He even retrieves the ball from the opposing side of the field to finish the game as quickly as possible and focus on the real challenge. Isugi and his team are taken aback by Rin's boldness and skill. He is truly a formidable opponent. Isugi tries to steady himself and reminds Rin that they too are putting their lives on the line to play the game and chase their dreams. Rin responds that it's not about the dream. They need to be ready to die for football. That's the level of passion he has for the game. Isugi refuses to give up, and the game continues with his team on the attack, determined to prove themselves against Rin's gifted team. Isugi spots an opening and makes a pass to Bachida, who in turn passes it to Nagi. But this time, Aryu out-jumps Nagi and snatches the ball right in front of him. The ball makes its way to Tokimitsu, who lacks confidence and eventually passes it back to Aryu. Bachida intercepts the ball and makes a pass to Isugi. Isugi and Aryu are locked in a battle for the ball, with Isugi shielding it well. But Aryu's flexibility gives him an advantage, and he kicks the ball right out from in front of him, scoring a powerful goal with his long legs. All Isugi can do is watch in amazement at Aryu's skill. Team White begins once again from the center, and this time the ball is with Bachida. He surveys the field and realizes that all of his teammates are tightly marked, leaving him no choice but to take on the challenge himself. Standing in his way is Tokimitsu, who, despite his high ranking, doesn't seem to be a skilled player and has low confidence. Bachida is confident in his abilities to outplay him. As the pressure mounts, Tokimitsu fears that after all the work he's done, he'll go back to his old useless self if he loses now. Negative thoughts overwhelm him, and he enters a zone, changing his entire playstyle. He quickly catches up to Bachida and grabs the ball. Tokimitsu repeatedly chants that he needs to score goals to prove his worth. His negative mindset pushes him to new heights, and that becomes his power. Isugi tries to stop him, but Tokimitsu proves too strong. Isugi resorts to fouling him, but is tossed aside in the attempt. Tokimitsu effortlessly scores another goal for his team. The confidence of Isugi and his team begins to shatter. They have relied on teamwork until now, but Rin and his team possess exceptional individual skills. They lack teamwork, yet their individual skills are enough to defeat Isugi's team. Isugi is at a loss, but Nagi comforts him and assures him that they will come up with a plan to counter their opponent's strengths. The team huddles together to devise a strategy to overcome this challenge. Instead of playing one-on-one, the team decides to switch to a 3-on-3 triangle formation in order to maintain possession and take advantage of opportunities on the field. They rely on Isugi's vision to identify these chances as the game progresses. Isugi spots an opening and rushes forward, but is met by Rin, who has anticipated his move and is already in position to stop him. Bachida, who's caught off guard by Rin's defense, decides to create a synergy with Nagi by making a pass with some clever spin on the ball. Nagi seizes the opportunity and turns to score, making the score 3-2. Nagi is impressed by the pass, as it's a stark contrast to the usual do-whatever-you-like attitude of his previous teammates. Team White is now back in the game, and Isugi tries his best to keep it that way. But as they chat once more, Rin takes a shot right from the kickoff. Thankfully, this time Isugi is there to react, pushing the ball into a corner. But their woes aren't over yet, as Rin goes to take the corner kick. Isugi thinks he has the most dangerous spot covered, but unfortunately, he forgot that Rin isn't a team player, and instead goes for a vertical spin direct shot and scores. A shot of that caliber shocks everyone on the field. The score is now 4-2. Isugi and his team persist in their triangle short pass strategy. Once again, Isugi even sniffs a goal, but as always, Rin is there to stop him. That's when Isugi realizes that Rin left the spot open on purpose to showcase his superior skill. He gets possession of the ball, and despite Isugi's cries to stop him, he breezes past Nagi and Bachida. Isugi can only watch in despair as Rin's shot soars through the air in a graceful arc, cementing their defeat with a final score of 5-2. This means Rin's team can pull one member from Isugi's group to join them. Rin doesn't care who comes along, but Aryu and Tokimitsu choose Bachida for his exceptional passing skills. Though disappointed, Bachida tells Isugi that if he wants him back, he would have to come and get him and embrace the monster within himself. Feeling dejected, Isugi and Nagi wait for the other two-man teams to arrive in the second stage room. Isugi knows that they had lost due to his lack of individual skill and his dependence on his teammates. Nagi, noticing his despondency, scolds him and reminds him that he had chosen him over his only friend for football, and there was no way he was going to let him give up now. This motivates Isugi to prove that he could fight without Bachida. Nagi deduces that the purpose of this selection round was to test individual skills. Up until now, they had advanced by improving their team play. But the second selection occurs on a smaller field with fewer participants, and individual skills are having a greater impact. Nagi surmises that they are being evaluated on a personal level. Isugi now understands that this is why their team play had failed, and that succeeding in one-on-one duels was essential to making it through the second round. Though frustrated by the loss, they know that the only way to overcome this feeling is to win. Bado enters the room a little while later, and Isugi knows that in order to survive, he must defeat him. Nagi was surprised to see Bado, known as the King, and wonders if Bado wants to play against them, because he doesn't appear to be as strong as he had been before. Bado and Nagi get into a heated argument about each other's skills, but since Isugi doesn't want to take on Bado's team, he tries to calm Nagi down. A few moments later, Isugi's old teammate Naruhaya arrives. He had teamed up with Bado and another player named Hazime. However, their team had lost the previous game, with Bado scoring 4 goals, but the opposing team winning with 5. Naruhaya explains that because of Bado's selfish playstyle, he wasn't chosen as the 4th man, and he points out that they must wait 24 hours before choosing their next opponent, so they must choose wisely. Bado then belittles Hazime and Naruhaya, calling them useless. Naruhaya advises Bado to remain calm and reminds him that they are not required to select Isugi's team. Before leaving for the break room, Bado declares that he won't be hiding, and if they want, he will crush them. Nagi suggests that Isugi should choose Bado's team as their next opponent. They need a strong teammate to help them advance. Isugi agrees, but notes that they are not on Bado's level. He recalls that during their last game, their weapons only functioned when they received passes. In order for them to shine, they need a player like Bachida or Mikage, who understands their weapons and is adept at passing. The next day, Isugi is training with a BlueLock man. He acknowledges that his abilities are growing, but he still must improve and acquire comparable abilities if he's going to compete with the other talented players. Naruhaya enters the training room and notices Isugi. He asks if he's chosen a team yet. Isugi replies that he hasn't, as they don't want to take a weak teammate. Naruhaya understands the difficulty of the decision and reminds Isugi that they still need to take risks, even if they risk being eliminated. He challenges Isugi to the next game, where their aspirations are on the line. Isugi, determined to prove himself, accepts the challenge. The game arrives, and it's clear that both Bado and Naruhaya have improved their skills. Bado scores the first goal from a distance of 29 meters, exceeding the expected range of 27 meters. As Nagi faces off against Bado in a one-on-one matchup, Isugi must take on Naruhaya. The outcome of the game hinges on Isugi's ability to defeat Naruhaya, but he soon realizes that his skills are lacking, even against Naruhaya. However, Nagi's inner monster awakens, and he tells Isugi to send the ball to any open space on the field. Bado underestimates the strategy, but Nagi has discovered a new way to beat the king by utilizing his excellent control and ability to outmaneuver opponents. Nagi scores a goal, tying the game. As Bado gets possession of the ball, Nagi instructs Isugi to press him, knowing that Bado's ego will prevent him from passing to his teammate. Isugi successfully steals the ball and looks for Nagi. With Nagi's new strategy, defenders have to try to choose between covering him tightly or leaving him some space, and he's effective either way. Isugi fires a pass as aggressively as taking a shot. Nagi receives the ball gracefully and scores another goal, putting them in the lead. As the game becomes more intense, Bado becomes increasingly frustrated and takes a shot from kickoff, but the goalie manages to save it. Though the game seems under control, Naruhaya manages to reach the loose ball before Isugi and passes it to Bado, who scores again, making the score 2-2. As Isugi gains possession of the ball and moves into an offensive position, Naruhaya reveals his true intentions for wanting to play against Isagi's team. He not only wanted Nagi on his team, but he was confident that he could defeat Isagi as well. They had played together before, and he knows Isagi is not a player who can fight on his own. He can't score a goal alone without an assist, and lacks the natural talent and genius of Nagi. He is just average. Isagi tries to pass the ball, but Naruhaya intercepts it, and Baru takes possession, passing it back to Naruhaya, expecting to get it back. But Naruhaya takes the initiative, makes a bold move, and shoots the ball. But his attempted egotistical goal lacks the power to get past the BlueLock goalie. Nagi and Isagi go for the rebound, but just as they start to recover possession, Baru barges in with his brute strength and snatches the ball, scoring as predicted. The score is now 3-2. Isagi breathes a sigh of relief. Baru had scored, but at least Naruhaya missed his shot. Both players struggle with opposite issues. Naruhaya can get in position to score, but lacks shooting skills, while Isagi struggles to get into position for his direct shot. The game will be won by whoever can overcome their weaknesses. Isagi realizes he's not on par with Nagi or Baru in terms of talent, but he's determined to find his own shortcomings in the match. Despite trying various techniques, such as dribbling and 1-2 plays, nothing seems to work. Forced to rely on Nagi, he passes the ball to him. Nagi scores, tying the game at 3-3. Although this is a positive outcome, Isagi is frustrated and believes the only way to improve is to tear down everything he knows. Baru takes another direct shot from the center line, but Nagi makes a leaping block. As Isagi gets possession of the loose ball, Naruhaya sneaks up from behind and steals. He's about to shoot when Nagi taunts him from near the goal. Naruhaya freezes, then hears Baru calling for a pass. He lets go of his ego and makes the pass, allowing Baru to score. The score is now 4-3, with no room for error. Isagi is aware of the importance of that play in this game. It gave them the chance to take the lead. He reflects on whether he could have prevented Naruhaya from getting the ball, but realizes that Naruhaya had taken advantage of his blind spot, positioning himself behind him. Suddenly it clicks. Blind spot? Isagi has a breakthrough in his understanding of the game as he realizes that Naruhaya has been exploiting off-the-ball moments to find open spaces on the field, which Isagi never took into consideration before. Isagi finally begins to piece together the elements of the game, including how Rin had made him feel useless. Isagi quickly obliges when Nagi calls for a pass and then scores a goal, equalizing the game. After scoring, Nagi tries to talk to Isagi, but Isagi is too focused on rewriting his approach to the game, integrating his new knowledge. Nagi simply acknowledges Isagi's concentration and trusts in his abilities, remembering the confident aura that surrounds him. Naruhaya has high hopes as he arrives at BlueLock, as the eldest brother among his siblings, with only one sister older than him. He and his siblings have been living in poverty since their parents passed away in a car accident, with their sister trying to support them with limited means. Naruhaya has a dream of becoming a pro footballer and securing a lucrative contract that would change his family's future. BlueLock is his chance to succeed, and he can't afford to fail. The game restarts with Team Red's kickoff, with Nagi on guard at the right corner. Naruhaya suggests a 2-on-1 against Isagi to secure the win, but Baru, who sees himself as the king, lives as he pleases. He goes for a risky shot that curves to the left corner instead of the right. It hits the post and bounces back. Naruhaya, Isagi, and Nagi all compete for it in close quarters. Naruhaya knows what he needs to do now: adopt Isagi's direct shot to change his life with a goal. Unfortunately, the ball hits the post, and Naruhaya is crushed. Nagi grabs possession, and they start their counter. Isagi saw that Naruhaya tried to replicate his direct shot. He believes that emulation is the key, and that he must combine his weapon with Naruhaya's in order to finish the game on top. Isagi makes a run forward, and this time, Baru is the one marking him. But now that Isagi knows that Baru needs to focus on two people at once, he uses the same in-behind technique that Naruhaya uses. He manages to get into his blind spot and receive a pass from Nagi with a clear shot on goal. Isagi scores the final goal, winning them the game. It took Isugi only a split second to devour Naruhaya's technique. Naruhaya is disappointed he lost the game, but Isugi comforts him, saying either of them could have won. Naruhaya acknowledges that his imitation of Isugi's direct shot was less than successful, while Isugi's unique willingness to adapt and improve sets him apart. He's always ready to destroy his old self and build a better one, making him a genius of adaptability. Nagi then questions who Isugi wishes to take along. Naruhaya silently hopes Isugi won't choose him out of pity. Recognizing Naruhaya's feelings, Isugi takes Baro, the dethroned king, explaining that this is not the place for him to end his journey. Naruhaya bids farewell, acknowledging that he isn't ready for the next stage. The day prior, Kunigami and Chigiri deliberate over their third team member. Chigiri points out the need for a passer to complete their skill set. They spot Mikage sulking in the corner, and Chigiri assumes it's due to being rejected by Nagi. Chigiri declares they share a common struggle and seeks to settle the score with Isugi and Bachida for leaving them behind. Kunigami extends an invitation to Mikage to join their team. Isugi, Nagi, and Baro have been assigned a new single bed, and they're all competing for it. And it turns out that Baro is pretty meticulous. Despite the man's ego, he's like a maid. Maid Baro. Isugi thinks that Baro's unbreakable rules are what drive his ego and skill. To understand Baro better, Isugi invites him to train together so they can form a strong partnership. During their training session, they discover that Baro has his own hour-long intense workout regimen before he even touches the ball. This strict routine is what gives him his strength. Isugi and Nagi join him in his training to not be left behind. Anri provides an update on the project to the Japan Football Union. She emphasizes that players must have improved communication skills and self-awareness to work together as a team. They aim to develop them into independent, unmatched strikers. Hirotoshi states that, despite making solid arguments, talent ultimately decides the outcome, and they want Ego to create stars more quickly. Ego views them as money grabbers and questions their sensibilities. He also ponders what talent really is. Is it natural ability? A magnificent physique? He believes that talent is the ability to demonstrate one's competence, and that BlueLock is creating geniuses as they speak to prove this. Returning from training, Isugi and Nagi find Baro sound asleep on the bed they had all been competing for. Although Nagi wants to kick him off, Isugi convinces him that Maid Baro tidied the room and deserves to rest. So they call it a night, with Isugi unfortunately getting the bottom bunk. Meanwhile, Kunigami, Mikage, and Chigiri train to improve their teamwork and talk about choosing their next opponent. They have to consider acquiring a strong teammate to fight against Isugi's team, which they believe has advanced to at least 4 players. Chigiri and Kunigami are taking a relaxed approach, but Mikage is determined to defeat Nagi, having previously debated whether Nagi is even necessary, with a toothbrush. Isugi reflects on Naruhaya's remark that he's a genius of adaptability. He questions what that even means, asking himself if it means getting stronger to match the opponent's strength. His next goal is to get the selfish king on board with collaborative gameplay. To achieve this, Isugi tries to understand Baro's playstyle to create a winning combination, but Baro only wants to score himself and won't change his ways. Isugi announces that his selfishness is a weakness, which frustrates Baro, who doesn't want to alter his rules. Baro argues that if he wanted teamwork, he should have picked Naruhaya instead. But Baro's 28-meter shot range and powerful charge are skills that Isugi can't imitate. Isugi wants to make Baro's talent shine even brighter, but Baro refuses to cooperate. Isugi sees this as a waste of Baro's genius. While bathing, Kunigami unexpectedly runs into him and is shocked to see that Isugi is still in the 3rd stage. Isugi explains that Itashi's team captured Bachida, and then he took Baro, condemning Naruhaya. Chigiri is mad that Isugi didn't wait for them, and the two of them taunt him for it, before admitting that if Nagi had approached them, they would have done the same. Nagi relaxes in the bath, and King once again comes to scold him, but Nagi is a ninja. Chigiri asks who Isugi thinks they'll play next, but he's uncertain. Suddenly, Mikage declares they'll play against Isugi's squad. to which Chigiri and Kunigami promptly agree. Nagi is pleased to see his best friend and tries to greet him, but Mikage is of quite another disposition and declares that they will crush him. With everyone present, Isagi accepts the challenge. Later, Nagi asks Isagi why he accepted the match so quickly. Isagi explains he didn't want them to be underestimated. He claims Nagi's first touch, Bado's dribbling, and his direct shot are their strengths. However, they lack speed, which is why Isagi wants to get Chigiri. Bado wants Kunigami for ball retention, and Nagi wants Mikage, as he promised to play with him. All three want different players, but they decide to focus on the game for now. Kunigami and his team are pretty firm on selecting Nagi if they manage to win the game. Only Mikage is against the idea. Ever since Nagi ditched him, he has a personal vendetta against him and wants Nagi to feel the same sense of rejection that he inflicted on him. Kunigami and his team work on a strategy to defeat Isagi's team. Kunigami and Chigiri plan to attack from the sides, while Mikage takes the center to offer balance. Mikage declares his intention to mark Isagi and prove his superiority over him to Nagi. Due to his physical attributes, Kunigami chooses Bado, leaving Nagi to Chigiri. The top three members of BlueLock struggle to find opponents due to their feared reputation. Although that's fine with Bachida, he awaits a challenge from Isagi, confident that he'll get to stage 4. The long-awaited moment finally arrives. Kunigami's Team Red versus Isagi's Team White, a clash of titans. Isagi feels calm, unsure of whether to attribute it to his growth in strength or to the geniuses at his side. However, the game doesn't go as smoothly as expected. Bado tries to control the ball on his own, despite Kunigami's tight marking and Isagi's attempts to convince him to pass. Kunigami is successfully holding Bado out of his shoot zone. Suddenly, Mikage dashes past Isagi and hounds Bado, deftly seizing the ball. With Isagi alone in defense, Mikage and Kunigami converge on the midfield, overwhelming him. Anticipating that Mikage will pass to Kunigami, he's taken aback when he sees the ball go to Chigiri. Even though Nagi's not far behind, the Red Panther just dashes forward, leaving Nagi stunned. With Kunigami's physique, Mikage's strategies, Chigiri's speed, and their mutual comprehension of each other's strengths, their cohesive teamwork outperforms Bado and Nagi's individual brilliance. Chigiri scores a goal, and it's plain as day that they are a great team. However, it only serves as fuel for Nagi and Isagi, who are adamant on crushing them. Isagi's enhanced perception of the field, understanding of the blind spots, and ability to track the ball gives him a newfound perspective on the game. He sees multiple paths to goal and passes to Bado. With swift movements, Isagi dodges Mikage and rushes open towards the goal, but his hopes are dashed when Bado ignores his call for a pass. This results in a turnover, and Kunigami takes advantage, scoring another goal and increasing their lead to 2-0. Nagi criticizes Bado for not passing, but he's unapologetic, still only interested in scoring his own goals. Isagi now faces a difficult challenge. As the team's anchor, he must find a way to reconcile Nagi and Bado's conflicting playstyles and devise a new strategy, but has no idea how to achieve this. The team's success depends on their ability to work together, but with Nagi and Bado at odds, it's a daunting task. As the whistle sounds, Isagi is taken aback when he sees no path to scoring resulting from a pass to Bado. However, with just a glance at Nagi, he sees endless possibilities for a goal. He quickly passes the ball to Nagi, who, with his graceful ball control, deftly moves it away from Chigiri and scores a point for the team, leaving Kunigami's team stunned at the genius's abilities. Nagi believes that they can secure the victory with just the two of them. But Isagi is aware that something crucial is missing, Bado. He must find a way to incorporate him into their strategy. He tries again, in vain, to convince Bado that teamwork is the key to winning. Bado refuses to play for anyone else, stubbornly sticking to his motto, "I win how I please." Isagi teamed up with Bado because of his immense potential, but like this, his talent is going to waste. The frustration is palpable. Not just for Isagi, but also for Bado himself. He's left wondering how he could be losing despite his immense talent. However, he remains resolute in his ways, refusing to change. Isagi cannot understand why Bado is so fixated on his own methods. The whole situation is frustrating. It's such a waste of talent. For Bado to improve and reach his true potential, he must acknowledge his defeat and confront the frustration that comes with it. Mikage faces off against Isagi with determination in his eyes. Despite not having any unique weapons, Mikage refuses to let that stop him from giving his all. Fueled by his frustration towards Nagi for leaving his side to play with Isagi, Mikage strives to prove Isagi's worthlessness. While Chigiri and Kunigami may have specific specialties, Mikage showcases his versatility and excels in every aspect of the game. The ball is in Chigiri's possession, and with a quick pass to the center, Kunigami heads the ball into the goal, bringing the score to 3-1. The team truly embodies the concepts of balance and coordination. Isagi has reached his limit and wants to concentrate on himself and Nagi, removing Bado from the equation altogether. But their chances of victory are slim with just the two of them. However, as he ponders how to overcome this challenge, he recalls being referred to as a genius of adaptability. It all becomes clear to him. Success lies not in conforming to Bado's gameplay, but in absorbing and flipping his ideology. With a determined look, Isagi confidently declares to Nagi that they will emerge victorious. Just keep your eyes on me. With how the match has gone so far, Kunigami's team is wary of Nagi and are positioning themselves to outnumber him. However, Isagi has a different approach in mind. Instead of passing the ball, he decides to dribble towards Bado, looking to gain an advantage over Kunigami by making the team think he will pass to the solo player, who has proven to be a liability so far. This maneuver diverts attention and creates a clear path for Nagi to operate. Chigiri is aware of Nagi's exceptional ball control and doesn't fall for Isagi's tactic. Just as Nagi is about to face a difficult situation, Bado makes a charge, asking for a pass. But he's still closely marked, and it seems like Isagi's plan has failed. However, everyone's focus on Nagi and Bado has made them overlook his path to the goal. Bado was a decoy, and Isagi takes advantage of the confusion he created to score a goal, making it 3-2. Bado realizes that he was used by Isagi to score, leaving him feeling defeated. This marks the start of Isagi's team's comeback, and he encourages Bado to keep on being himself, but without getting in their way, calling him a donkey. The pressure builds in the king to prove himself to Isagi and reclaim his dominance on the field. The rivalry between Isagi and Mikage resumes. However, the change in Isagi's demeanor has left Mikage feeling uncertain about facing him head-on. Instead, he opts to pass the ball to Chigiri, who then passes it to Kunigami. Bado sees this as a chance to finally get involved in the game and engages in a physical battle with Kunigami, successfully gaining control of the ball. Nagi calls for a pass, but it's no use. Kunigami's team double teams Bado and steals the ball. But just as they think they have the advantage, Isagi appears, snatches the ball, and calmly passes it to Nagi. The skillful play results in another goal, tying the game. Kunigami's team acknowledges the dominance of Isagi and Nagi, who are now controlling the game. The whistle blows, and Mikage quickly passes the ball toward Chigiri, who recognizes that the only way to win is to push beyond his limits. Nagi knows how to stop the red missy, but is taken aback by Chigiri's evolution. Instead of slowing to take control of the ball, he propels the ball forward, maintaining his speed in what he calls no slowing dribbling. Bado's attempt to stop Chigiri also proves unsuccessful, and Chigiri scores a crucial goal, putting his team on match point. The entire team is stunned by Chigiri's impressive play. Bado, the king, is left growling at the ground. Meanwhile, Isagi warmly welcomes the challenge, eager to continue proving his skills on the field. Bado is perplexed as to how he ended up on his knees without scoring a single goal, despite being the supposed king of the field. Throughout his childhood, he was the star player and received encouragement and support from everyone. As a result, he began to adopt his kingly attitude. He soon realized that his love for football was not simply to be the best, but to dominate and defeat his opponents. which only the truly powerful can experience. Isagi and Nagi exchange a few quick words about strategy, but suddenly Bado runs up and takes a shot right from kickoff, catching everyone off guard. It hits the post. Kunigami recovers the ball and passes it to Mikage, but Isagi anticipates the move. Mikage has no choice but to send the ball flying, and it lands right in front of Bado, his big chance to redeem himself. Chigiri moves in and is right behind him. Bado is one step too short from reaching his ideal shot range before Chigiri is all over him. Out of nowhere, Isagi appears ahead of him, open. He glances back at Bado, and with his stare, he commands him to pass the ball. The king does, shocking everyone even more. Isagi slams it in the net, equalizing the score. Bado is in disbelief at how quickly Isagi devoured his whole ideology. He's unable to understand this feeling of despair he's experiencing, which is the bitter taste of defeat. He realizes the pass wasn't even his own choice. He lost to someone he underestimated, causing his entire ideology to crumble. Before the final play, Kunigami's team is well aware of Isagi's unstoppable performance, and they prioritize preventing him from getting the ball. Their general strategy is to utilize Chigiri's speed to score, recognizing it as their best chance to win. Isagi also recognizes Chigiri as the main threat and tells Nagi the plan is to stop him before he gets the ball. He feels it's futile to share his plan with the dethroned king. Thus, the responsibility of winning falls on the two of them. As the game restarts, Mikage sees that all routes to Chigiri are blocked, leaving a wide open route to Kunigami. Passing to Chigiri would be disadvantageous, and dribbling is too risky. Mikage passes to Kunigami, but all of his plays are also too risky at this point, so he passes the ball back to Mikage, who tries to create space. Isagi gives Mikage an opportunity. He seizes it and passes to Chigiri. In that instant, Nagi dashes forward, leaving Chigiri unmarked to intercept the pass. Isagi had planned every move, and it played out just as he wanted. Mikage is baffled. Nagi barely gets a touch on the ball, but it's diverted from reaching Chigiri, and the loose ball lands, served on a plate for Bado. He freezes, realizing that with one pass to Isagi or Nagi, they will win the game, and he is the vital piece, though a support piece. He now understands how all the people who fed him passes felt. His sense of defeat could be salvaged by entrusting the goal to the Supreme Strikers, fulfilling his new support role, and he contemplates becoming a team player. But something is clinging to him, the future that awaits him after this pass. With the pressure mounting, that instant, his ego takes over, refusing to live in a future where his dreams are broken. He feints a pass, dribbling past Kunigami with newfound awakening. The red team anticipates he'll pass to Isagi and moves to intercept, but Bado is using his team as a decoy and gets past Mikage. He sees it, a route that exists for his goal. Just as Isagi devoured him, he hides behind Isagi's light to disguise his next move and evades Chigiri. He refuses to be a mere supporting player and emphasizes this with his final shot, scoring the match-winning goal and leaving his opponents in despair. Isagi and Nagi welcome the new king. Isagi goes for a winning high five, but Bado denies it and insists that Isagi retract the donkey insult. Isagi apologizes and recognizes Bado's remarkable abilities. Even Nagi is stunned by Bado's dribbling in the final play, which he achieved only through acute self-preservation after considering the possibility of a future in a support role. This strategy, which Bado dubs dominating the field as the villain, led to the creation of his new weapon known as chop dribbling. Isagi is thoroughly impressed, and Bado makes it clear that he will never lose to Isagi again. For the first time at BlueLock, Bado refers to someone by their given name. Henri, the evaluator, now considers Bado one of the top talents in Japan and wonders if Ego had anticipated his awakening. Ego admits that he didn't, but explains that defeat is a crossroads for achieving your dream. It takes strength to recognize your powerlessness, feel despair, and see a new potential path once you've given up on the old one. ego believes that living life without striving to achieve your dream is pointless. Kunigami's team is now at this crossroad, after coming so close, but ultimately standing no chance against Isugi's team's true strength. The decision to choose the fourth player for their team is on Isugi, and in order to beat Rin and win back Bachida, the teammate he needs, Bado initially wants to select Kunigami as a forward player who can pass him the ball. However, Nagi suggests that Mikage's versatility would provide a better balance to the team. Both Bado and Isugi agree with Nagi's perspective. However, Isugi notes that choosing a balanced team might limit their potential. Instead, he argues that unpredictability is the key to their success. Just as Isugi devoured Bado, and vice versa, he wants a player who can challenge them and force them to grow. Without this kind of challenge, they won't be able to beat the best teams in BlueLock. Only one striker has managed to keep up with the three monsters, and the answer is obvious: Chigiri. As he makes his way across the field to join his new team, Chigiri promises to wait for Kunigami so that they can take their revenge on Isugi. Nagi tries to assure Mikage that he doesn't want to be at odds with him and acknowledges how well Mikage played in the game. Nagi expresses his belief that they will face each other again in future matches, but Mikage doesn't want to hear any of it. He feels that Nagi abandoned him and forgot their promise to become the best together. Initially taken aback by Mikage's words, Nagi ultimately agrees that they cannot grow together. He acknowledges their promise, but also feels that Mikage is a burden, and he's past caring. Nagi decides that he's done with Mikage. Before leaving for the fourth stage, Isugi offers some final words of advice to Mikage. Become the one who chooses instead of waiting to be chosen. As a child, Bachida confides in his mother about his imaginary friend, a monster that he sees when playing football. He yearns for a real friend who can play fun football with him. His mother hopes that he will make one someday, and Bachida is confident that he will. In the present, Bachida can't help but grin as he practices with the best BlueLock has to offer, Rin. In the fourth stage break room, Isugi suggests that they play Rin's team next, but he's ignored by everyone. Along with Bado, the king, and Nagi, the genius, they now have Chigiri, the selfish princess. Bado goes on one of his usual rants about keeping the place neat and tidy, but Nagi and Chigiri couldn't care less. To ease the tension, Isugi suggests that they all grab a bite to eat. Nagi and Chigiri are too self-centered to see the effort that's being made and decline, but Bado agrees. As they eat in silence, Isugi suspects that Bado is still mad at him for the donkey comment during the match. But Bado speaks up and wants to know what Isugi sees during the game and what kind of football he wants to play. Isugi shares that his weapons are spatial awareness and direct shots, and he's also been working on his off-the-ball movement to position himself better and control the field. Isugi apologizes once again for his impulsive words during the match, but Bado admits that Isugi was right about him on everything, except for the donkey comment. He wasn't mature enough to admit that his way of doing things was wrong, but he has become stronger and wiser since his defeat. Isugi admires Bado's honesty and thanks him, saying that he really likes this version of him. All flustered, Bado asserts that he doesn't, and says that he just wants to know Isugi's way of playing so that he can devour him completely the next time they play. Isugi welcomes the challenge with enthusiasm, promising that he'll evolve faster than Bado. Meanwhile, Nagi is watching a clip of Noel Noah, the world's best striker, and is eager to learn and copy his techniques. Chigiri, acknowledging Noah's prowess, believes that it's possible for Nagi to learn from him. Chigiri confides in Nagi about his injury and that his leg is a ticking bomb, but he has no regrets about continuing to pursue his dream. Isugi ponders the potential of the team and the synergies they can create. He eagerly anticipates facing the best team in BlueLock and is confident they will emerge victorious. However, upon their return to the break room, Isugi and Bado find the room even messier than before, courtesy of Nagi's first touch practice. Isugi finds this amusing, but Bado has had enough. Meanwhile, Bachida is practicing with Rin and begins to realize that he enjoys playing with Rin more than the other way around. Rin doesn't find Bachida's half-baked ego exciting and knows he can't win against him with his dribbling skills alone. Bachida reflects on his childhood, where he believed that playing football and becoming one with the ball was the most enjoyable thing in the world. However, others didn't share his passion and found it boring to play with him, so he began playing with his imaginary monster friend. On his previous team, the coach prioritized team play, and although Bachida hoped that his teammates would share his enthusiasm for football, no one ever did. He craved someone who could experience the same joy he felt while playing. But as others began to doubt him, he started doubting himself as well. However, everything changed when he received an invitation to BlueLock and met Isagi, who also has a monster inside him, and shared his passion for football. Bachida believed in Isagi and saw him as the friend he'd always yearned for. He still does, but Rin's words, "You're looking for someone with your dribble," struck Bachida hard, as if Rin had seen right through him. It made him question his fixation on Isagi and consider a different kind of monster, maybe Rin. Rin disregards Bachida's musings as nonsense. As the two leave the practice area, Isagi surprises them, challenging Rin to a match and declaring that he's there to reclaim Bachida. Bachida can't wait to see which of these two monsters can delight him more. As the teams get set for the match, Aryu is taken aback by Chigiri's glamorous hairstyle and compliments him, making it clear that this is Chigiri's matchup. But when Chigiri calls him by his name, Aryu is thrown into a state of shame over how unglamorous it is. Tokimitsu fears that Aryu won't play well like this and nervously asks for a delay of game. Bado, without any authority to do so, denies the request and grows irritated with Tokimitsu's negative attitude towards everything. But when he tries to lift him, he realizes Tokimitsu possesses remarkable strength. Bado will be marking Tokimitsu. Nagi seeks an opponent who excites him and challenges Rin to become even stronger, leaving Isagi to square off against Bachida in a no-holds-barred battle. Bachida attempts to shake Isagi off with his signature ultra-fast scissors dribbling, but Isagi anticipates the move. Bachida sees that he's grown stronger since their last encounter and is more focused on the field than on one-on-one battles. Bachida is determined to get past Isagi, but Bado doubles up on him, forcing him to pass. However, Isagi intercepts the pass with ease, swiftly passing to Nagi. To Nagi's surprise, Rin is fully aware of his first touch skill and positions himself to counter. Nagi passes the ball to Chigiri, who rushes in and scores the first point for Isagi's team. Bachida is pleased to see how well Isagi's team is working together and considers them a worthy opponent. He is determined to win. 35 meters out, scoring a goal from kickoff seems impossible, even for Rin. Bachida dribbles cautiously, keeping a watchful eye on Bado. Just when Isagi thinks Bachida is off guard, he makes a no-look pass to Aryu, who's able to reach the ball almost effortlessly, then passes it to Tokimitsu, who Bado struggles to push, even slightly. With a quick one-touch pass to the middle of the field, Rin is now in shooting range. Nagi tries to stop him, but Rin easily fakes him out. Isagi and Chigiri team up to prevent the inevitable shot, but Rin deceives them as well. Isagi realizes that Rin is a formidable opponent who can create limitless variations of himself and has every skill necessary to execute those variations flawlessly. As Isagi attempts to steal the ball, Rin praises him for improving, but points out that he's still far behind. With a spectacular jumping shot, Rin equalizes the score. The team is at a loss on how to stop Rin, but Isagi has learned from their previous encounter and can now decipher Rin's moves. He knows that he must devour Rin to win the game, but he's unsure of how to do it. Isagi explains how Rin executed his last play by drawing them in during a crucial moment, which is likely his go-to strategy. Chigiri observes that Isagi is the only one who can keep up with Rin's thought process, making Isagi the key to stopping him. Although they're uncertain about their defense, their offense is working well. Chigiri has the ball, and after analyzing the field, Isagi positions himself for a pass. However, Rin anticipates Isagi's off-the-ball movement and intercepts the pass. He possesses the same level of field vision as Isagi, but always seems to be one step ahead. Rin passes the ball to Bachida, who is impressed with Isagi's improvement and decides to showcase his skills by sending the ball flying with vertical spin to Aryu. Chigiri and Nagi both attempt to catch up with the ball, but they're focused on where it will land, while Aryu leaps and heads the ball into the net well before it gets near the ground, bringing the score to 2-1. Isagi initially believed that stopping Rin was the key to winning, but he now realizes that Bachida serves as the team's core, leveraging the strengths of the top 3 players. Nagi also understands the role Bachida plays in elevating Rin's team, and he's determined to crush them. He's grateful to Mikage for introducing him to football, but playing with Isagi is what serves his commitment to get stronger. They kick off the next round with Chigiri on the ball. Nagi observes the field and notices Isagi's positioning strategy, which involves Bado acting as a decoy and buzzing around Chigiri to create space for Isagi. However, Rin sees through this tactic. Nagi acknowledges that the two prodigies share the same level of vision, and the reason Isagi can't beat Rin might be due to physical limitations. Nagi decides to be the final piece of the puzzle and shake up the game by going beyond expectations and making it more unpredictable. Chigiri passes the ball to Nagi, who immediately lets it go to Isagi, hoping that he'll quickly analyze the field and redraw their strategy. Rin is still able to anticipate Isagi's pass, so Nagi decides to fake a shot to throw Rin off balance and then scores the equalizing goal. Nagi is certain that with Isagi, he can continue to push his limits and become even stronger. This impressive outplay finally ignites Rin's competitive spirit. The white team erupts in cheers after Nagi's exceptional goal. Isagi is thrilled that he can finally compete head-to-head with Rin by using Nagi's skills, but he knows that this alone is not enough. If he truly wants to become the best striker in the world, he must surpass Rin on his own. With the game tied, Isagi begins to strategize on how to replicate their successful performance. He realizes that in order to gain an advantage over Rin, both he and Nagi must improve. If they can achieve a 50-50 chance against Rin, their weapons can work to their advantage. However, Isagi isn't content with just being equal. He must evolve his future vision and anticipate the play before Rin does, giving him the upper hand in the match. Isagi remains unaware that Rin has entered his serious mode, his competitive spirit fueled. Rin takes control of the ball from the kickoff and executes a backspin pass to Tokimitsu, allowing him to beat Bado to the ball. He knocks it back to Rin, who lobs it forward to Aryu, testing his limits in aerial battle. But when Chigiri blocks Aryu's path, he passes the ball back to Rin. Nagi is on him and tries to read Rin's fake, but it turns into a roulette spin around him. Isagi believes he's anticipated Rin's move, but it's the other way around. The ball heads to Bachida, who scores a goal. Rin had manipulated Isagi and everyone else on the field like puppets. In this play, his mastery is on full display, proving that he and Isagi are not on the same level. Rin's playstyle centers around controlling people by manipulating their thoughts, assessing their skills, and pushing them to their full potential to create the future he envisions. Rin is simply incredible, seemingly flawless in every way. Despite this setback, Isagi's team refuses to give up and focuses on unconventional tactics that Rin cannot predict, and something is burning within Bado. Game on. Isagi senses that something unusual is happening. Rin's team has changed their defense, with Bachida now playing anchor. Despite this, Isagi tries to get through by passing to Chigiri. He gets past Aryu, but Rin manages to stop him, and Chigiri passes the ball to Nagi. Isagi manages to get past Bachida to receive a pass from Nagi. However, Rin is there to block his way once again, leaving Isagi bewildered and lost. He knows that he cannot beat Rin in a one-on-one situation. But Bado has been waiting patiently like a hungry lion for an opportunity like this, and steals the ball from Isagi, throwing a wrench in the works of Rin's plans. Bado scores a goal, tying it up at 3-3. Isagi recognizes that Bado's playstyle as the villain of the field is unpredictable and hard to read, making him the key to winning the game. Isagi analyzes the situation, and realizes that he himself needs to be someone that Rin cannot control. Bado's unpredictability gives them an edge, but Rin has already assessed Bado's playstyle and is confident that he can prevent it from happening again. The game recommences, and Isagi instructs Chigiri to use his speed to pressure the ball carrier, changing their defensive strategy. Under Chigiri's pressure, Rin passes to Bachira, and Isagi quickly marks him, forcing a 2-on-1 situation with Chigiri. Rin is unguarded, but Isagi anticipates his movements and uses Chigiri to slow down the opponent's decision-making. Despite Bachira managing to barely out-dribble Chigiri, Isagi had already read the play and was waiting for him, with Bado ready to swoop in. Bado feints Tokimitsu with a chop, but Rin reacts just in time to prevent him from continuing and knocks the ball out of play. Rin failed to predict the play, while Isagi maximized Bado's unpredictability, resulting in a fierce competition between two prodigies at an unbelievable level. The field now has two monsters battling it out. Bachira's dream of playing football with monsters is finally coming true, but something is not right. He feels like he's being left behind, or perhaps it's a test? Chigiri hits the ball out of play, and Isagi's team faces another predicament. Everyone's stamina is rapidly draining. As the players become sloppier, the team that catches on to their opponent's mistakes first will have an advantage. From the throw-in, Rin and Tokimitsu pass the ball around and easily get past the defense. Thanks to Tokimitsu's immense strength and stamina, Bado and Chigiri both receive yellow cards for trying to stop him a little too aggressively. Rin has a free kick from his sweet spot, and Isagi has to decide whether to defend against a shot or team up against a possible pass. Rin reads Isagi perfectly and shoots the ball right above his head, not giving him enough time to react and scoring a goal, making it 4-3. Rin reveals that a shot on goal was the only option. Bachira realizes that the two monsters are playing to satisfy their egos and questions what he's playing for, to find a true monster or a friend. He now knows that these reasons aren't going to be enough to keep up. Isagi takes the ball forward, following Bado's charge, who thinks he'll receive a pass if he can get past Tokimitsu. Not gonna happen. Isagi just wanted Tokimitsu tied up with Bado so he doesn't have to think about him. As the other players close in around him, Isagi lobs the ball ahead of Chigiri, depending on his speed to get to it. Isagi sprints diagonally towards the post, open. Chigiri spots him and fires the ball his way. He gears up to shoot, but Rin suddenly emerges right in front of him. Outwitting his opponent, Isagi dazzles everyone by shooting with his heel, scoring a goal and leveling the game 4-4. Bachira is struggling. He knows he's not operating at Rin and Isagi's level and doesn't know what to do to evolve. The game escalates as Rin rallies his team to give their all. He passes the ball high to Aryu, who faces Nagi. Aryu passes to Bachira, who hesitates. Preoccupied with impressing Rin and Isagi, he can't make a decision. Chigiri takes advantage and knocks the ball away from him. It goes to Bado, who then passes to Isagi. They start exchanging 1-2 passes to break through. Bachira, desperate at the thought of losing and not being picked, remembers his mother's advice to trust his inner voice. Pressuring Isagi, he makes him pass to Chigiri, who then passes to Nagi, who stops the ball with his chest and passes it back to Isagi, who sees his goal. Bachira, in despair, can't bear for the game to end like this before proving himself. Isagi fires a shot to the top right corner, but Rin appears and blocks the shot. The ball goes to Bachira, who starts a counterattack. He now understands that relying on his inner monster is exactly what has been holding him back, and tells it to stay away, wanting to play alone and score himself. He dribbles past Isagi with a nutmeg and does the same with Chigiri and Bado. He lifts the ball and kicks it with his heel, getting past Nagi as well. Saying goodbye to his inner monster, he shoots. But Isagi blocks it. He knows Bachira, saw his evolution taking place, and anticipated that he would try to score alone. The loose ball falls to Rin, who slams it into the net and ends the game. He is not satisfied. Still bent on becoming the best in the world, he invites Isagi to join his team to witness his greatness. Isagi thanks his former teammates, but they are furious and vow to crush him next time, and there will be a next time. Bachida is happy to finally be reunited with Isagi, but is also grateful that he was on his own for a while. It was the only way he was going to progress, and now it's going to be even more fun to play with him again. When Isagi asks Rin why he lost to him, Rin says it was luck. Ego interrupts them and explains how luck works. It isn't as random as most people like to think. Basically, if you perceive and contextualize a situation, you can position yourself in a way that aligns with luck, both good and bad. When Rin saw Isagi catching Bachida off guard, he sped up, expecting a blocked shot, putting himself in the path of luck. In this case, the ball pretty much landing at his feet after the block, and then scoring the game-winning goal. Isagi realizes that the difference between him and Rin is their resolve to accept fate in victory and defeat. Ego informs them that the third selection begins in 24 hours when they will play a 5-on-5 match against a team of international star players, the World Five. Leonardo Luna, a Spanish national player, the English League's top scorer Adam Blake, Pablo Cavazos, an Argentinian national player, Dada Silva, a Brazilian national player, and the French League's 17-year-old superstar, Julian Loki. Later, Isagi joins Rin and tries to imitate his yoga cooldown routine. He then gets personal and asks about whether he gets along with his brother. Rin says that he has an awkward but healthy relationship with Sai that will fix itself if he beats him. He also tells him that he doesn't see him, Isagi, as his rival, and that he will never lose to him again. When Isagi tries to copy Rin's ridiculous one-handed handstand, he can't, and ends up knocking Rin over too. The next day, they face the World Five, who make fun of the Japanese players' physiques. They don't understand English, but Aryu roughly gets that they are being insulted and lets the others know. Rin, however, kinda showing off his skill with English, challenges the World Five, and Luna recognizes him as Sai's brother. The game starts. Isagi kicks off with a pass to Bachida, who faces Cavazos, and manages to get around him. Isagi tries to position himself to inspire Bachida to pass to him, but Loki is all over him. Bachida does pass beyond Isagi to Rin, who is ready and scores the first goal, impressing the World Five. Amazed by the glam triangle of Isagi and Bachida's chemistry, plus Rin's devouring of the two of them, Tokimitsu and Aryu want to join in and expand the glam geometry. The game restarts, and the World Five launches their attack. Isagi faces Loki, who pauses, points out that Isagi is full of weak spots before he blasts past him, Bachida, then Aryu with ease. Rin tries to stop him, and Loki praises his foresight, then slips past him as well and fires the ball into the goal. The game continues. Bachida passes to Rin, who's focused on Loki, who's right in front of him, and doesn't even see Luna casually step in and take the ball from him. Luna passes to Cavazos. Isagi and Bachida rush in to press him. Cavazos shocks them with a long high pass before they can effectively do anything. Aryu thinks he can get it, but Silva outjumps him and gets the touch. Tokimitsu goes after the loose ball, but is effortlessly knocked aside by Blake. Aryu losing an air battle and Tokimitsu being outmuscled stuns Isagi. Blake then scores a goal, and it's clear to Isagi that the World Five overpower them in every aspect, making it impossible to win in their current state. But he still finds football amazing and wants to reach that level. The score gets to a 1-4 for the World Five. Rin faces Luna again, who tells him that he likes him. He's the only one who still thinks he can win, but adds that he'll have to discourage him now. A few stepovers and a nutmeg later, he tells him that if he opens his legs that easily, people will think he's a loose guy. Luna then scores the final goal, ending the game with a 5-1 victory. The World Five tell the Japanese players not to be too depressed. They never stood a chance, and then leave to report back to Ego. Elsewhere, in a meeting, the Japanese Football Committee isn't grasping the efficacy of the BlueLock program and threatens to shut it down. Ego proposes having a big match to concretely demonstrate what is being accomplished, to justify the program and keep it alive. Later on, the 35 players, the 7 teams of 5 who cleared the second selection, are brought together in the central joint room. Isagi is relieved to see that Nagi, Bado, and Chigiri made it through. Teams 3 through 5 enter, and Isagi notices Nico, who reminds him that he plans to crush him. When the 6th team enters, Nagi realizes that Mikage and Kunigami aren't there, but Isagi is sure they'll be on the last team. However, the last member of the 7th team emerges, and it's not Kunigami. Mikage explains that their team lost, and he was chosen. Shido starts talking smack about Kunigami and reveals that he's the one who sent him home. Isagi tells him to shut up, and Shido responds with a jumping back kick directed at Isagi's head, but Chigiri pulls him down and saves him. Ego intervenes and announces a big match against Japan's U20 team. Winning the game would allow them to join said team and save the BlueLock project. Isagi knows that football is for strikers, and with his dreams so close to being realized, he refuses to let BlueLock be shut down. Thank you for sticking until the end. Subscribe for more videos like this.